Good afternoon and welcome to Capital Account. I'm Lauren Lister here in Washington, D.C. and more MF Global execs add them to the list of people who say they don't know where the missing customer money is.
Mr. Steenkamp, as CFO, where's the money?
Senator, unfortunately, I do not know where the money is.
That happened on the Hill today. Former CEO John Corzine, of course, said something similar at a hearing last week. He was there today, too, again testifying. Meanwhile, farmers and customers who can't get their money are dumbfounded. Retail investors say they've lost their trust in the sanctity of customer accounts. We'll talk to one of them, Gerald Celente, to find out what is going on with his money. And the Strait of Hormuz, the most important oil transit channel in the world. Well, after a report that Iran will hold drills to close it, oil prices this morning spiked modestly above $100 a barrel, reportedly on some rumors that it was closed. More importantly, though, does announcing these military exercises drive home the point that Iran has the capacity to make life miserable for oil consumers around the world? And the Fed announces it will keep rates near zero, makes no big policy changes at the final FOMC meeting of the year. It remains to be seen, though, if wishing Ben Bernanke a happy birthday is the best or most exciting thing that will come out of the minutes when they're released 3 weeks from now. He turned 58 today. Let's get to today's Capital Account. Today, MF Global's former executives, the chief financial officer and the chief operating officer, testified on the Hill. They told the Senate Agriculture Committee they don't know how an estimated $1.2 billion in customer money went missing.
Mr. Steenkamp, as CFO, where's the money?
Senator, unfortunately, I do not know where the money is.
Mr. Abloh, where's the money?
Senator, as I said in my statement, I do not know where the money is.
Unbelievable. If you feel like you're having deja vu, if you feel like you've heard this before, that's because you have. You heard it last week when former MF Global CEO John Corzine testified on the Hill before the House Agriculture Committee.
I simply do not know where the money is or why the accounts have not been reconciled to date.
There you have it. He was on the Hill again today, dodging the question. And today, though, is a little different. This is the first time he's come before his former colleagues in the Senate. Remember, John Corzine was a senator. He was also a governor and former CEO of Goldman Sachs before taking the reins at MF Global and being at the helm as MF Global just closed more than $6 billion on European sovereign debt, a bet that went bad, a capital shortfall. They went bankrupt and client money went missing. I wonder, though, how this all sits with customers who've had their accounts frozen. Well, let's catch up with Gerald Celente and see what's happening with his money. He's founder of Trends Research Institute and publisher of the Trends Journal. But if you recall, he made a rather large splash when he came on our show in November on the 14th and told us how he got a phone call and found out that 6 figures, according to him, of his money in an account with Lynn Waldock was with a trustee for MF Global, and he couldn't get any answers, and he certainly couldn't get his money. Gerald, welcome back to the show. It's so nice to see you. Of course, now we've seen a lot more, heard some more from MF Global former execs, so I don't know how much that really comforts someone like you. $1.2 billion, of course, is the estimate of what's missing. The last time we spoke, 6 figures of that you believed was yours. Trustees reportedly set in motion the return of $4 billion in funds, so we've heard. Have you heard if you're going to be getting your money back, or has anything moved for you?
Well, it hasn't moved yet, and of course I've put in the claims. But that Senate hearing, Lauren, is nothing more than a whitewash that the white shoe boys get a free ride once again. How come this guy hasn't been indicted? Who could get away with a line like, I don't know what happened to $1.2 billion, and it's a month and a half later? You know, I just read that they sent in a Predator drone up in Wyoming or North Dakota or someplace because they claim that this guy stole 6 cows. They brought in the SWAT teams. You know, a whole big deal. This guy, John Corzine, can't find $1.2 billion, and he gets a free ride from his senator's friends with all these sophomoric questions.
And Gerald,
anybody in the business knows what the deal is, and I know people in the business, and they'll tell you right away. They know what's going on. These funds don't disappear. You have to listen to the language. Listen to what Corzine says. Quote, I never gave any instructions to misuse customer funds. Oh, of course, he didn't say go steal the cat's money.
Right.
You know, he just said go use it because we need it. So
yeah.
this is just a whitewash.
And Gerald, let me get in here because you're not the only person saying this. You know, we had a former regulator, William K. Black, on this show last week when Corzine was testifying. He, of course, prosecuted bankers during the savings and loan crisis, oversaw more than 10,000 criminal referrals. And we said, hey, is this a viable excuse for the CEO to say he doesn't know where the money is? And he said, no way, because there's too much. I want to play you what he said.
Not on dollars this big. The underlying problem, if you're taking that much in terms of client funds, is because you've got a huge liquidity problem. And that has to have been something that the CEO would have been dealing with, not just on a daily basis, but an hourly basis. And he would.
So he doesn't buy it, and you don't buy it. If you were on the Hill today, you being a customer who's had their money frozen and put in a claim, doesn't know what's going to happen, what would you want to say to these guys, to John Corzine and the other execs, and ask them?
Well, again, you see, this isn't the forum to do it. He should have been indicted. You know, they should have had pros on this job, really grilling him and questioning him. And that's not what's going on. So regardless of what questions you ask, under this forum, without an indictment, nothing is going to happen. The guy is free to do as he pleases. And there's also another bunch of information out here that's not being put out. For example, it was only until a month before the company crashed that Moody's downgraded their rating. Where was Moody's all along before this? The company that used to rate junk AAA, they're at it again. And then you look at the CME Group, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, or as I'd like to say, the Chicago Mafia Enterprise. I heard that guy Clarence Duffy, who talked today as well, say a year ago that the CME Group was the guarantor, and that they had $100 billion, that's with a B, $100 billion to cover losses like mine. I'll tell you what's going on, Lauren. I don't believe anybody has the money. I don't believe the CME has the money to back it. I don't think they have the gold to deliver, and that's why I didn't get mine and other customers. There's a lot more going on here than they're putting out in public.
Well, and Gerald, we heard from farmers, we heard from other customers that have lost their money or that haven't seen their money. And one farmer was saying today at the hearing that, you know, he heard MF Global was in trouble. He called, he followed up about his money. They said no one has ever lost a penny in a segregated account. Don't worry. What happens? A couple days later, MF Global goes bankrupt, declares bankruptcy, and he can't see his money. So my question to you, as being someone who's been in a similar situation, similar position, do you trust your money as a retail investor anymore to be safe? Do you trust it in this financial system?
Not at all. Not at all. And that's why, by the way, I had a contract to pick up gold in December now. But I didn't think, you know, this is the first time in the history that the exchange has ever done this and let the customers go bankrupt. No, that's why I always recommend gold and silver. If you don't have it in your pocket, your money. Why do you think they came up with those stories all over the years of people putting their money in the mattresses? Because of the corrupt system. Look what's going on in Lithuania. Look what's going on in Greece and Italy. There are runs on banks. People are pulling it out knowing that this is coming down. Oh, and by the way, It's very important with these guys, these front men for MF talking today. Mark my words, they're going to come up with a fall guy, somebody way down the line, and probably with a name like, you know, Sanjay Mananda, some Indian, you know. It's easy not to like an Indian. They'll come up with a fall guy to take the hit, and CORZINE and his buddies will walk free.
There's your prediction, Gerald. If you were giving other people advice, and we're almost out of time, I just need a real quick answer. Would you tell them to follow the people that we see lined up in Latvia and get their money out of firms like this?
I could only speak for myself. I only have operating expenses in the banks and nothing more. We are forecasting, we're coming out with our top trends to 2012, economic martial law of some sort in 2012. The systems are collapsing, and there's no way of saving them.
Wow. Well, Gerald Celente, I want to continue the conversation because there's more I want to get to, but we thank you so much for giving us that update on what's going on with you personally with MF Global, as well as your analysis. That was Gerald Celente, founder of Trends Research Institute. All right, it's time now for Word of the Day, where we break down a financial term or concept for our very smart viewer, but just maybe not the financial expert. And today, it is FOMC, the Federal Open Market Committee. And we're doing it given that they met today, they made an interest rate decision, and it's drawing some headlines. Here's one from this morning. It said the USD, the US dollar, of course, struggles ahead of FOMC rate decision. Now, this afternoon, they announced rates will remain near zero. This is no change. More of the headlines then said FOMC takes no action, or no big surprise there. But what is the FOMC exactly? It is this. It is the branch of the Federal Reserve Board that determines the direction of monetary policy using three major tools, including raising or lowering the discount rate, adjusting reserve requirements, and engaging in open market operations, which we've done as the word of the day. So go look at that on our website. Now, the FOMC holds 8 regularly scheduled meetings per year, and today was their last meeting of the year. Now, the most significant discussions at the FOMC are invariably decisions reached on open market operations, which is just a fancy way of saying buying or selling assets in the open market. Now, if the Fed wants to expand the money supply, pushing down rates, it prints money and buys fixed income assets, things like treasuries and more recently mortgage-backed securities. If it wants to contract the money supply and then raise rates as a result, it sells fixed income assets from its portfolio. Now, minutes are ordinarily made available for these meetings 3 weeks after the FOMC holds them. And this is the clincher, though. This is really where the Federal Reserve policies are made. So when you hear us talk about quantitative easing or Operation Twist, look no further than the FOMC as the culprit. And stick ahead, stay right here, still ahead on the Capital account. You better watch out, and we are telling you why. Jim Cramer has some stocks for underneath the Christmas tree, but is this just part of his plan to sell high this holiday season? And first, your closing numbers.